The entire book, no one knows who put this together.
False.
We have.
False.
I'm answering right
I'm making
now.
stuff up. I'm making stuff up.
I'm answering right now.
I'm making stuff up. So asking me to give you verses of the Qur'an which talk about paganism that you yourself are aware of, because you're telling me that they're there. Do you understand? You, as a Christian who are supposed to be sincere, is telling me that you are aware of verses within the Quran that are referring to pagan practices and refuting pagan practices within the Quran. And then you're asking me, but you have to read them to me for evidence. This is insincerity. In the rain, normally I'd be really uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable.
But today was really good. Yeah?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I really did.
So did I. So
it
did
was
I.
honestly entertaining.
Absolutely.
It was entertaining.
Absolutely.
Oh. How can you? I haven't finished. How can you refute the pagans if they didn't exist in the region? You tell me.
So again, fifth time of asking, no evidence from outside of the Quran, Imran.
Outside, inside.
I'm answering.
He did.
I'm answering.
Inside.
I didn't
You get
interrupt
scholars.
you.
You get
I didn't
scholars,
interrupt
man.
you.
You did, but I'll let you.
Okay, fine. Okay, I
I
did
won't
brief.
interrupt you.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you. So Imran, fifth time of asking, no evidence presented from outside of the Quran so far. No evidence presented.
Angela, can
Which
you-
is which?
Van Putin. Angelica Newith.
Is he going to interrupt like this? Or
He's-
is he with you or?
Okay, one second.
Yeah.
So he is saying things, the things that I mentioned.
I know,
you're
no, but
ignoring.
No, but I am speaking right now.
Yeah,
Is he with you? Can you please ask him to be silent?
Van Putin.
Is he going to interrupt like this or what's going on? Is that
But he
man
is
on the
mentioning.
screen or what's
He is
going on?
mentioning things that I mentioned to you.
I know.
That were outside of the Quran.
Maybe you didn't hear them, so I'm reminding you.
Okay, that's fine.
That's good.
Angelica Newith
Yes,
and Van Putin.
You see,
okay.
you see what's going on here?
That's okay.
I asked for evidence, and when he had a chance, all that he mentioned, I can tell you,
he
I can
mentioned
tell
those names,
you mentioned those names
Yeah.
in regards to
Yes.
dating the Quran, not in regards to giving evidence from outside of the Quran for idolatry.
No.
I'm speaking now, Imran, please.
clarify- no,
You
I'm
can
gonna
clarify.
Could you?
You can clarify.
Just give me 1 second.
Okay. Just maybe 10 seconds, please,
10
and then I need to speak.
I did not.
Very generous.
Just because I haven't referred to anything outside the Quran. I haven't. And you keep saying it's a cheap shot. You keep saying you didn't give me evidence outside the Quran. I haven't referred to anything outside the Quran yet, because the Quran is sufficient. Now, what you do in your argument.
So, you have had plenty of time to
that's
do
my
this.
15
Yeah,
seconds.
cool. Okay, cool. What I'm going to say is, we are here to find out the evidence. We are in pursuit of truth.
Really?
We're not here. We are not here in threatening that you could present the truth at some stage. I'm speaking to you for the last half an hour to an hour, actually looking for that truth.
That's so
You've
nice.
just been threatened. So you've been given 5 opportunities so far, and I'm just making a factual statement. So far, you haven't presented any evidence outside of the Quran to establish the idolatry that was prevalent at the time of the supposed origin of Islam minus 200 years. You haven't done it. It's a factual statement. You yourself would agree. This is the truth. Now, if you want to contradict by providing evidence, you can. At any point in time, you can. Even now, you can. After I finish the next turn, please do, if you have. But when you cannot, I'm going to take that as lack of evidence, or at least lack of awareness of evidence, which is not surprising to me because I've been doing this research. I don't find any. Now, coming to the Quran itself,
It's okay.
coming to the Quran itself, I can debate you on what we know about the history of the Quran. Maybe we can do that right away. But my point simply is, it is a fact also that Imran, you had 5 opportunities, again, maybe 4. I didn't keep track exactly, but 4 or 5 opportunities to read some text from the Quran. Now you can check and find out, please, if you can. But the point is, so far, no.
This is
it's
so
a fact.
entertaining. You know that.
It's a,
in the rain.
Imran, you know for a fact. One second.
Being in the rain.
You know for a fact, Imran.
Yes.
Despite the 4 or 5 opportunities, you simply refuse to read a passage from the
Have you
Quran.
finished?
No, I haven't. You simply haven't read
wish you
any
would.
passage so far. It's an obvious fact. Everyone would know, and so would you. Now, you can change that fact by reading something from the Quran. What I'm telling you is very simple. The entire book, no one knows who put this together.
False.
We have.
False.
I'm answering right
I'm making
now.
stuff up.
I'm answering right now.
I'm making stuff up.
Now, you gave an indication based on the Qur'an, Birmingham manuscript, that maybe this can be dated to Islam. I completely challenge that. We can debate on dating Birmingham manuscript if you want. There are plenty of technical details involved. As you might know, we can very well debate that. My simple point right now is focusing on the evidence. I'd like to conclude this point by saying that you still haven't read anything from here. It is true that I said earlier that there is some reference, haphazard, with no historical context. No one knows what is being spoken about what timeline. No one has a clue. For all that I know, they could have been a figment of imagination. They could have been speaking about something that was happening in Persia. They could have been describing something that happened in Afghanistan. No one has a clue. If you think the brief, haphazard references are in relation to the Arabian Peninsula, you need to read the details and establish that. What I am agreeing is very simply is to this point. Most of who are referred to as idolaters, from what I have observed, most of them here are Jews and Christians. In most of these references, only in some references there are haphazard mention of some name of this god, name of that god, but no one knows. I haven't changed anything. You can watch the entire video, and so far you haven't clarified the historical context of them. You haven't established that they are actually from the Arabian Peninsula. You haven't established that they weren't text copied from some other region. None of that you've attempted to so far. Maybe one last chance you might want to do, but so far, a fact is you haven't done it, Imran. That's the simple fact.
Okay, so this is now, you have presented to me evidence that you're asking me for. You've already presented it to me. So you are saying to me, because your thesis was, because of inscriptions in a specific language found by a scholar who has a theory that all of Arabia is monotheistic, you're holding on to this theory. You've been researching and you see, you can't find any evidence that there was polytheism there. You can't find any evidence that the Quran mentions polytheism. And you quote to me, you say that the Quran is only talking about Jews and Christians, and then you change it to most of what the Quran is talking about is Jews and Christians, and there is some reference to polytheistic practices within the Quran. Now, you're saying, but we don't know where it's from. It could be from another region. But what's your basis for making this additional claim? That the Quran is making statements. Now, it's odd that you're asking me to give you verses of the Quran which talk about paganism that you yourself are aware of, because you're telling me that they're there. Do you understand? You, as a Christian, who are supposed to be sincere, is telling me that you are aware of verses within the Quran that are referring to pagan practices and refuting pagan practices within the Quran. And then you're asking me, but you have to read them to me for evidence. This is insincerity. Then you're saying to me, but we don't know what region these are referring to. They're in the Arabic language. The Arabic language belongs to a specific region. The people they are talking about are from this region based upon the language that we're talking about. If you say no, you can't say that because the language used is the language of the people, that the practices refer to the practices of the people, then this reflects on your initial theory. You cannot say Sephardic inscriptions talking about pagan practice, monotheism, refer to the people of the region just because they're in the language of the people. Do you understand the parallel between the two? So number one, you already know that there are verses within the Quran that talk about paganism. You said you were aware of them, but you say that they lack detail. We can bring other detail. Listen to what I'm saying.
Listening.
We can bring other detail. We have hadith. We have historians writing at the time.
Idols that exist.
Even the ones that the Christians like to quote, like Tabari, you talk about the practices of the people in the region. We have other Quranic. We have other evidence. We have, if you want to find physical evidence, you can see statues of the gods that the people worshipped are available
in Yemen
for you to look at.
Exactly.
You can see them.
In that
This is
region.
historical
In
artifacts
museums,
that are
in
available for you to
museums.
look at now.
In museums. Yeah.
Now, so there's lots of, the evidence is irrefutable. My point here today is to highlight the inconsistency in your argument. A bunch of inscriptions are found in a specific language. You're saying that because of this theory, it implies the region the people of the region, are all monotheistic. The Qur'an, which we can date to the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, because of the Birmingham manuscript and other evidence as well, you told me clearly has statements that speaks to the pagans. But you say to me, we're not sure who it's about. It could be a different region of people. I'm telling you that there's Quran. It's in Arabic, speaking to the people of the region about the people of the region.
So
Now, I haven't finished speaking.
And the Prophet's interaction with those people.
Exactly.
sorry.
Are you upset?
Are you going to...
No, I'm not upset. Imran is. I'm
It's got
distracted. Thank you.
Yeah.
The fact that you're very interactive with any comment that comes from outside of our discussion,
Exactly.
for me, it shows you that we're not sincerely having a discussion.
Look,
here.
no one is
When I'm
interrupting
talking-
you from
when I
my
am
side.
talking
No one
to
is.
you-
Why is he
When I
doing
am
that? Is he your
talking- when I am
accomplice?
talking to you,
Why is he interrupting
when
now?
I am talking to you, I don't look at anyone else.
Okay, sure.
Why is that?
But
why is that?
But why is it
Why
that
is that?
someone who is with
Because
you,
I'm
Imran,
trying
Did
is
you do that to me
disturbing all the
earlier?
time?
Did you do that to me earlier?
Because I'm talking.
Did you do that to me earlier?
I'm talking to you.
Easy.
So be quiet
Okay.
then.
No.
So now,
Then be quiet.
If
Don't be quiet. Then be quiet. Sweetie,
Sorry,
be
give me
quiet.
one sec. Apologies. Okay, so let's get back to the point.
Yeah.
So-
So you're about to finish what you were saying.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I was
Go on.
starting.
Okay, have more time. It only means you've been given more time, yet no evidence. Go on.
You're my evidence.
All right.
Arul has already said to me, he is aware of statements within the Quran that deal with the
I
pagans.
can't believe
The
it.
Quran is dated to the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Sure.
So therefore, already you know of the evidence. Now, your thesis is undermined. Your thesis is completely undermined.
Okay.
You have to prove
Sure.
against all of the evidence provided.
Can I?
No.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Go on.
Yeah. If this is going to
No, please do.
descend
Because
into if this is going to descend into a fast,
Sure. Finish.
then we can
Please finish.
Because I really wanted to get onto the Christian
the Quran,
topics.
yeah, okay. Please,
Because
let's finish.
We notice how we focused on this.
Yeah, no, let me.
Okay.
Yeah. So
But
once you finish,
Your thesis that all of Arabia is monotheist has not been established.
sure. Okay. So note carefully. I am using very precise details, Safavitic inscriptions from across Arabian Peninsula, quoting specific names of the stalwarts.
Which-
all of you can check when you get home. Check the works of Michael MacDonald, Ahmad al-Jalad, especially quoting Layla Naimi. 3 specific stalwarts. The first 2 are stalwarts, absolute stalwarts, and none better than them.
Appeal to authority.
Of all. Well, I appeal. No,
Appeal to authority.
I'm talking about their specific works.
Appeal to authority, yes.
Are you going to interrupt now, Imran?
Sorry.
Yes, sorry. Thank you. So, I'm giving specific details. I'm quoting their conclusion, and I'm giving details of who they are. You can always check when you get home. In contrast, did you see what Imran was trying to do? Statues in Yemen. Well, from statues from when? I agree there was idolatry in the Arabian Peninsula before 200 years, before Islam's origin. I completely agree. And they agree with that too. I also. So the question is not whether idolatry existed at some stage in Arabian Peninsula. No. Origin of Islam minus 200 years. Datable artifacts you simply haven't provided, Imran. You know it. I'm sure you know about truth. You are a medical doctor. You very well know you haven't mentioned any date whatsoever for a specific artifact. Now, coming to the Quranic text itself, let me repeat. I'm not sure where you misunderstood my point, and I tried multiple times, Imran, and I'm going to try one more time, and that's it. And that is this. That is this. Your approach, despite being a medical doctor, your approach No, this is very important.
Have you heard of some gaslighting?
Okay.
It doesn't work.
It's a genuine. It's a
Okay.
genuine.
I'll keep
It's a
doing
genuine. It's a genuine thing from my side. I can
Okay,
tell.
but I'll keep
I can
doing
tell
it.
you, I'm a computer science, and you can use that in your arguments if you
Oh,
want. No
dear.
problem at all. Despite being a medical doctor, the
dear.
point simply is, Imran. To me, it appears as if just because some statement shows up in some book, which is what I agreed to, some statement shows up in some book to refer to some gods who appear to be idols, you think that already immediately means existence of idolatry in the Arabian Peninsula during the time of Islam, going back 200 years. You seem to think that to be the case. I completely am bewildered, because what I agree to is that most of the text here, the Quran, seems to be only contending with the Jews and Christians.
Most?
And most of the text here,
No.
if you want to contradict, give me details, and I'm giving you most of this is contending with the Jews and Christians and even referring to them as idolaters. Very few, haphazard, no one knows, clearly. This is why you can contradict if you want. You can get help from Abbas. Maybe he knows this
It doesn't need
also.
It doesn't need my help.
But together somehow provide to me details of time, space, place, corresponding to what is being referred to. My challenge is, you simply cannot. You had 5 opportunities so far. You haven't even attempted to do. You've just said, yes, I agree, there is some. Please don't try that. I am agreeing there are some statements. Give me history based on that. Make those statements become evidence for us to grapple with, not just simple statements haphazard in some strange book which no one knows when it was written and so on. So, Imran, all that you need to do is read a passage, establish a date for that passage based on details in the passage, refer to the gods referred to in that passage, establish dates for them, and the region for them. Please do. If you can't do, I'm going to give you one last chance, please, and then we can move on to another topic.
All right, no problem.
And my conclusion would be, despite giving you one last chance, if you cannot go through the details and establish them as historical facts, my conclusion would be, as much as Imran could not give a shred of an evidence from outside the Quran.
Why are you laughing?
He is the one laughing, not
No,
me.
but you're laughing while making the
Is there a
argument.
mirror here or what's happening here?
You're actually
You are
laughing while making the argument.
You laughed and he's turning to me and
Why are
asking.
you laughing at yourself while you're making
I
the
can't
argument?
believe this. Anyway, let's focus.
Even you don't believe what you're saying, do you? It's like
Nice tactic,
he's
Abbas.
even laughing while he says it.
You know what?
He knows it's
Abbas.
so fictional that he has to laugh. It's hilarious, honestly. This has been hilarious.
I really see the nice tactic there. But you know what? The best way to establish what I am saying, not as fact, is to give me the facts, which you haven't done.
Oh, dear.
And therefore, the only person, Imran, you haven't
You
provided.
give me a last chance.
Yeah, I'll give you one last chance. But
This is hilarious.
thank you. I'll give you one last chance.
Thank you.
And during that one last chance, if you cannot quote from the Quran a passage and establish the historical context
Why are you laughing
of
again?
the entities referred to in the passage, then I'm going to conclude that as much as you could not give any detail from outside of the Quran so far, you can't do that from inside of the Quran also. One last chance, and that'll be my conclusion.
So I want you to note. Sorry, boss. This one is.
No, it
Okay.
must be I'm sure.
Listen, you know,
He's thinking,
look,
how
you
old
know,
am I? And I still haven't
You know
got
something?
evidence.
In the rain, normally I'd be really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Really
sure.
uncomfortable.
But today was really good. Yeah.
I enjoyed it today.
Yeah,
I
but-
really did. It
So
was
did I. So
it
did
was
I.
honestly
So-
entertaining.
Absolutely.
It was entertaining.
Absolutely. Okay, fine.
At least we've had a good laugh.
Fine,
Isn't
fine.
it?
Yeah,
let me-
absolutely.
You haven't
I
learned
completely-
anything.
He's given me.
You haven't given anything.
You had
to
a good
learn.
laugh.
No, 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 no,
He's
no,
given me
no.
a last chance.
The reason that I haven't learnt anything from you is that you haven't given anything. Abbas, why did you miss that very obvious
Stomach
fact?
is hurting.
Now, Imran. Absolutely.
Okay. So you understand. Let's understand, because now this is my last chance. Sure. So I think we're gonna do some concluding statements. Yeah.
Use it wisely.
So I'm going to use my last chance wisely.
Absolutely.
So let's understand the theory that's being.
There we go. No. Go on.
The theory being put forward is that all of the Arabian Peninsula was monotheistic for at least 200 years before the time of the Prophet Muhammad. Based upon some manuscripts in a specific
Inscriptions.
inscription in some specific Sephiatic language, the theory of one particular scholar. Okay, this is being put forward to you as fact, historical fact. Okay, now
I didn't even use the word fact so far.
This is evidence.
Well, for someone else, for something else, not here.
This is simply a theory put forward to counter the existing narrative that's well established, it's understood that the people at the time of the Prophet were pagan. The region was pagan. Why? Because we have lots of evidence of pagan practice. We have statues from the time, we have inscriptions from the time talking about the different gods. And more importantly, because we're Muslims, we're talking about the Qur'an, which is dated to within the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, contains refutations of the pagan beliefs and practices within the Qur'an.
Naming their gods, in fact. Yeah.
One, you said you were aware of this as a Christian. You said you were already aware that they exist.
Yeah.
If they already exist within the Quran and you're aware of them, asking me to quote them to you is disingenuous.
Yeah.
It's disingenuous
Yeah.
because you know of their existence.
Yeah.
The point here is what? The theory that all of the Arabian Peninsula put forward by this person is monotheistic is undercut by the existence of passages refuting pagan practices within the region anyway, which you're already aware of.
Sure, Imran.
I haven't finished. I also mentioned that we have other sources of evidence, which I haven't got into because we can't get past the point where you've admitted that the Quran does contain statements that speak against the paganism anyway. We have the hadith, we have the historical records of people like Tabari. We have all of these which talk about the prevailing practices of the region. The most important thing here is this theory that you've brought forward comes with its own problems. If there was only monotheism in the region, how did it get there? Who brought it? How were the previously pagan people who you admit 200 years before the time were pagans? How did they become monotheists? Where did this monotheism come from? Were they all Christians and Jews then? Because these were the people who claimed monotheism. Or was there another monotheism that existed at the time that wasn't belonging to the Christians and the Jews? It comes with problems. So just to underline the theory, the idea that the Arabian Peninsula was monotheistic, in this based upon the theorization of one particular scholar using some inscriptions, is not sufficient to establish that fact. What you said to me in the beginning is what I expect. You're going to bring me the evidence of this person to look at next time we meet. You said that to me. You remember? That you will bring, because I said this is all academic theory. Until you bring this evidence to me for me to see, that's all I can look at it. This is a nice theory. You're trying to overturn the existing narrative of the fact that the people of that area were pagan. You said that you're saying that the evidence that I brought with the Quran was not sufficient because it doesn't talk about time and place and exactly what was happening. And you made some other derogatory terms. I'll ignore those because that's fine. It's not bothering me. The whole point here is that the Quran refutes pagan practices of its time. And you are aware of these verses because you told me that they are there. You told me that they are there. Yeah. Now I can go through the pointless exercise of telling you the things that you already know. You know them already.
Imran.
Let me just finish my. I didn't interrupt you.
You did multiple times, but that's fine.
Okay. You want to?
No, that's fine.
Eye for an eye, or
no. Come on.
Slap one cheek and give the other.
No. It's fine.
Okay.
Please go on.
So you already know that these verses exist. So why would I quote them to you? unless this is all for drama and for show, this is about sincerity. Tell you what you can do to help us with this. Bring your evidence from these scholars with this new theory. Establish for me that the monotheism actually was something that existed in Arabia at the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him. Establish that for me, and then we can go forward from that point.
Sure.
The evidence that I've given you comes from your mouth. You are aware.
I can't believe
you are my evidence.
Simply can't
You
believe.
said to me that you are aware of the Quran speaking against the practices of the pagans. You said that. There are some, you use the word scattered and mishmash. This is the words that you use, but they are there. Now that is an evidence that undercuts your theory.
Okay, cool.
Now, unless you want to take that back and say
He said
there are
haphazard.
there are no verses that deal with monotheism,
Sure.
then we can go from there.
Cool. Thank you very much, Imran. So this is the problem. Just to comment on what you've said. So
Closing statement you're making.
yeah, closing statement. So outside of the Quran evidence, you still haven't presented any so far.
Right.
But you tried, because you said statues, idols from the region and so on, but no detail. When you don't give detail, it's not an evidence. It's just, so no evidence outside of the Quran. You said, or actually you attempted giving, using the hadiths and the other literature as evidence. As you might very well know, they are later than even the Quran by hundreds of years.
Not true.
No. Al-Tabri, when was Al-Tabri written? Hundreds of years later. So please don't use late literature to claim early historical facts. Don't do that. And that will mislead others. They may think that maybe Al-Tabri is during the time of the Quran, which clearly can't be the case, and it dates to hundreds of years after the Quran. So hadiths, it's very true. You can give me more details in our next conversation if you want. So late literature, so that is not evidence that I'm talking about. Number 3, in regards to the Quran, I can't believe you're miscaricaturing a very simple point that I'm making. Which is, Imran, this. I understand there are statements in the Quran with some haphazard references to a couple of different idols. But like I said, most of the contention seems to be against Jews and Christians, referring to them as idolaters. Most of it. Very few haphazard. No one knows. Note my words carefully. So if you think that I said that I agree that the Arabs were contending at that time, no. No one knows which period they belong to. No one knows which period the idols come from, which region. None of that. And that is where I thought you were going to provide some evidence, which you did not. You simply haven't. In 5 or 6 times, you've just gone back to what I have said. And in other words, Imran, very simply put, for a leading Islamic apologist like you, with Abbas and the many others who are here, leading world-renowned, who have been in the practice for maybe 10 years, 15 years. I've seen
gaslighting.
Yeah, exactly.
No. This is a very important fact.
On what scale are we? Shabir Ali, or what would you put us below him? Or
well, equal. Let's say in my view, equal.
I didn't know that.
My point is simply this: with that vast level of experience in your kitty, you simply cannot give details. You simply cannot quote one passage in the Quran and establish the historical context, date, time, place. Simply can't. And that is the reality. And I wasn't surprised, because I've done my research and I can confidently say you can't.
It looks like
even the best of apologists simply can't. And so hopefully at some stage you will leave Islam on this one basis and come and follow Jesus Christ. So with that,
No, waste the question.
No,
No, waste the question.